everybody, it is Melanie Mitro and Katy Ersta, and we are the hosts of the Make Chic Happen podcast. And this podcast is for you, friend. We're going to dive into the skills, mindset, and systems you need to build a successful social media presence, and it supports your business goals. All right, and I am Melanie Mitro, one of the co-hosts, and I have left my full-time career in early intervention to be a stay-at-home mom, and I'm seriously craving something more. All right, and I'm Katy. I am a stage 4 cancer survivor. I absolutely love all things storytelling, and I was a teacher who truly just wanted to get the groceries paid for. Never in a million years did I see what would happen with this business. Oh my gosh, and here we are 10 years later, and we have built multi-million-dollar businesses from our laptop, from our kitchen tables, basically anywhere that you have Wi-Fi. And the cool part is now we get to teach other people how to do the same. So just 2 female entrepreneurs who are wives, moms, and we're also besties who want to take you on the journey right alongside us to help you build a business that you love and a life that you desire. All right, so come on in, check out today's episode. Well, hey everyone, it is Katy Ersta of the Make Chic Happen podcast, and today I get to talk about one of my favorite things, and that is effective storytelling. And today, what I want to do is I want to walk you through a strategy that has allowed me to really captivate a following, but more importantly, move those followers into a state of action. So they either are opting in or they are becoming clients. And that strategy today that we're going to talk about is called the staple story. And so when I think about the staple story, I think it's worth noting that this isn't something I had ever heard somebody coin before. This is not a phrase that other people have used. It's something that I think of when I think of why I follow someone and what made me connect to them on a very human level. I know that effective marketing is really going to happen when we have a story to tell. People don't ever buy what we do. They buy why we do it. They're attracted to or interested in the story behind what's on the front. And so when I think of people, especially in direct sales, in network marketing, or business owners, I often just wonder where they got started. Wonder what brought them to that point. I wonder what they were like before. And that wonder, that curiosity is really what gets me to be interested in learning more. And so for you as a marketer on social media, having a staple story is something that you will repeat over and over and over again in different ways so that your audience is connected to you. Staple stories are not airing out the dirty laundry. What they are is a way for people to see how you started, also how you became or got to the point where you are, and what decisions you made along the way to actually implement or actually create who you are as well. So I'm going to break it down into 3 steps. And as I'm talking today, my hope is that as you're listening, you're thinking about what your own staple story is. So, in order to craft a staple story, we need to realize our staple story is not about us. I'm going to say that again. Our staple story is not about us. It's how we serve other people. It's how other people see themselves embedded in the story that we're writing. So, for example, if you have ever read a book and you picture that book in your mind and it's really clear, and using all your 5 senses, you have pictured everything to a T and you have worked out that story exactly how you visualize it. And then the movie comes out and they cast people in the movie and it's not how you pictured it. And then they cut out certain scenes that were so important to you. And you're like, man, that's not how it actually goes. That's because the story that you have created in your mind is not the same as the person who is actually creating the video, creating the story. And when you are showing up to serve people on social media, people are doing the same thing with you. They're creating the picture in their own mind of what that story looks like, and they're doing it based on their own experiences. So when we take that into consideration, we always say to ourselves, well, what's the purpose of the content that I'm creating? How do I want to serve people through my staple story? And once we understand that part of it, we really think our staple story is about how we serve, not just our own story. It changes the way we actually show up. It changes the way we actually write the narrative. So let's talk about what that staple story looks like. And there's going to be 3 key components of the staple story. So the first part of the staple story is painting a picture of where you were before you started a business. So painting the picture means you get that person emotionally tied to that picture of where you were before. When I was working with a client not too long ago, we were talking about her own staple story. So what I asked her was, before you started in the health and wellness industry, talk about what it was like before. And she started sharing not her health and wellness transformation, a physical transformation. She started painting the picture of being in a job that she hated, feeling like she was always connected to the computer, feeling like she was living for another cup of coffee or a break, and then she would be working these long hours where there was no purpose. And I was like, okay, well, how did that feel? And we listed out different emotions, just draining, just tired, just empty. And those emotions, those words were really key, because that part of the staple story in painting the before picture wasn't just, I had a dead-end job. It was, I felt empty. I felt like there was no purpose. I felt like my entire world was just kind of dark, and there was no hope for what the future was going to be in terms of what my business would look like. There was no platform that I was trying to create. It was just that I was there to work a 9 to 5, and then I would close the day out and do it all over again. And I felt kind of robotic. Wow, what a picture to create. That before picture isn't just about who that client is and her story. It's about allowing people to see what that picture looks like in their own life. That first part is really creating the connection based on emotion. So step number 1 is creating your before story. The second part of the staple story is going to be your aha moment, your turning point. In literature, we call this the climactic moment. But in this part of the staple story, this is where people start to see how you made a change. And you're walking them through what that actual pivotal moment was when you said, enough is enough, or it's time to start, or I can't do this anymore, or you realized you needed to add something else into your life. And that turning point, what that does is it lets people see the very human and easy part of just making a decision. And as a marketer, isn't that what we're doing? Isn't what we are trying to do is to get people to stop walking the line or hokey poking with maybe I should, maybe I shouldn't. We want them to transition into the aha moment. We want them to see so clearly the before picture that you've created, that when you actually tell them about your aha moment, when you actually tell them about that turning point, you can say, I've shown them the turning point. They too can make an aha moment. And that has to be a powerful, not because it's some grand issue or grand situation or something that happens that's so big and monumental, but it's a connector. There's a turning point that happens where you just say, I want to change. I want to make a transition. So the second part is to think about what your turning point was. Why'd you create the business that you created? Why'd you leave the job that you don't love? Why did you start a side gig? What was it? When I think about my turning point and the story that I tell over and over, it's nothing monumental. I remember being in the grocery store and I was going to buy diapers, and I think I was hoping that I could buy 2% milk as well, because we knew that we had a little bit left and I had to rush out the door to go from school to picking up my son at daycare, and he had a little bit of a cold at the time, and I was kind of drained too because I had just been grading all of these essay papers and I was pretty tired too, and all I needed to do was go to that grocery store. And when I went to the grocery store, I remember crossing my fingers and hoping that there was enough in the bank account that would actually make sure that I didn't have to charge it again, because I was tired of putting things on the charge, and it was right after Christmas. And I just remember being really tired of fighting with Mike over finances all the time. And God, that budget Excel sheet was killing me. It was killing our marriage. It was just a sucker punch all the time to feel like it didn't matter how much we worked. It didn't matter how good our jobs were. There just had to be more to life than getting by. But anyways, when I went to the grocery store, as I was crossing my fingers, I remember the man who was at the other side of the register. And he was a short guy. He was a little bit older, had a beard, glasses. And I remember the glasses because when he looked up, he looked over the glasses and he looked right at me and he said, "Insufficient funds." And man, did my heart drop. And I scrambled and looked for my credit card and handed him the card, disappointed because I had to charge something else. I had to explain to Mike why we had another charge on the account, and although it wasn't that much money, it made me go, is there more to life than getting by? How do two people with two great jobs just cross their fingers at the end of every month? How does anyone actually get ahead? And I remember leaving that grocery store just completely defeated. And when I left that grocery store that day, I knew that something had to change. I couldn't keep arguing over insufficient funds. I couldn't keep fighting with my husband over money. I deserved more, and so did we. And if I wanted to create the life, I had to see another option. And I remember going on to Facebook. We didn't have Instagram at the time, and there was this girl that I had been following from where did we go? Sorority. It was ASA back in the day. And she was talking about this passion, this excitement for what she had to do. And I just got curious. And that day where I looked and reached out about a fit club that she was doing changed my life forever. The reason I point out that turning point is because, do you notice how I didn't just tell you about the day I went to the grocery store? I painted the picture for you. I allowed you to see not just what that was like, but the whole time I just told that story, guess what I know you did? I know you painted it. And I know you saw a little bit of your story in mine. And now we're connected, because when you see me, you're going to think about the girl who had insufficient funds that fought with her husband over money, over the budget Excel sheet. Lord, I hated that budget Excel sheet. And you connect with that piece of it. And now you and I, we're connected. And you heard my story, but you didn't just hear my story. You heard your own story in mine. And that turning point, when you repeat it over and over and over again, that's where you start to see that people come back. They want more. So that's step number 2. Let's talk about step number 3. And this is the hope that you give to other people. This is the where you are now because you made a decision. Because on that day when you went into the grocery store, you said enough is enough. So step number 3 is really where you are going to connect with somebody else by showing them exactly what is possible. And this can be done a couple different ways, but again, you're tying people to an emotion of it. So in that Staples story, you are really telling people, this is where I am today because I made a decision. Today, I run 3 businesses. I have a direct sales business that is well over 7 figures. I have another business, Chic Influencer, where we've created this amazing planner. We have a community, we have courses, we have mentorship, where I get to help and guide people along the way, and so they can create that same freedom that I was able to do because I didn't want to be a slave to the Excel sheet anymore. And I also own another company called Chic Way Media, and that helps other people who are busy business owners not have to worry about how they're going to market themselves on social media. I can effectively tell the story for them through products and services and experiences that they offer. I help them craft their own Staples story. And that third piece, that hope that you give people, is letting them know that a solution is available for them too. A Staples story is not just a post you throw up. A Staples story is something you think through. It's something where you look back and you say, this is where I was. This is the turning point. This is where I made the change. And ultimately, because I made the change, I want to show what's possible for you too. It is all about how you connect to somebody. It is all about how you walk them through your story, yes, but the whole time you're sharing that story, you're actually showing them what's possible for them too. People will not buy what you do. They will buy why you do it. I encourage you today to start. Write your staple story. Get clear on what your 3 points are. Where were you before? What was that turning point for you? And where are you now? Even if it's not exactly where you want to be, you are further today than you were yesterday. And I encourage you to start with your staple story. Start small, and then you repeat it again and again and again in different types of content, different images, different reels. But as long as you are creating that staple story, you are connecting people to what is possible through your products, through your services, and through your experiences. You guys, I hope you enjoyed today's episode of the podcast. If you found it useful, please make sure that you share it. Tag us on Instagram. Let us know if you have created your staple story, and if you want me to personally check it out, I'd be more than honored to. Have a great day. So if you loved today's episode, make sure you head over to wherever you listened to the episode today and leave us a rating and review. And also take a little screenshot and tag us on Chic Influencer. We'll feature you in our stories. Plus, we'd love to get your feedback and hear from our listeners. Yep. Until next week, let's make chic happen.